Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It is Thursday, March 17th, 2016, and I'm Leanne Macadoo. Here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah, that's the problem. The media has created the perception that the voters will decide the nomination, and that's the conflict here.
We feel like we live in a democratic society. What you're telling me is it's not a democratic society, and your votes don't necessarily matter because it's a democratic representation, correct?
No, that's not what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to say is that we're just one of the political parties. There's many political parties, but political parties choose their nominee, not the general public.
A GOP delegate says that voters do not pick the candidates. And everyone from the communist Chinese to the Rothschilds dogpile on Donald Trump. That's next.
This is not human intelligence, okay? It's not human intelligence we're facing. I refuse to fight with everybody. All the stupid racist white people, the stupid racist black people. My fellow InfoWarriors, I am very excited to be able to announce to you the introduction at InfoWarsLife.com of a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWars Life formulations like Survival Shield X2 and Super Male Vitality. Just go to InfoWarsLife.com today, select your favorite product, click on Auto Ship before adding to cart, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. Every time you choose Auto Ship at InfoWarsLife.com, you get 10% off and you won't have to worry about running out and having to reorder next time. And of course, you can cancel with one click anytime. As you know, I'm all about the idea of a 360 win. And the new auto ship feature at InfoWarsLife.com is a sure win for everybody. A win for liberty, a win for health, and a win when it comes to big savings. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today and save 10% on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting auto ship at checkout. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
The thought of a Trump presidency seemed unimaginable just a few months ago. But now that it's kind of getting clear that he's going to be the GOP candidate, a lot of people are freaking out and they're going to do whatever it takes to take Trump down. So obviously we know they're planning the biggest protest across the nation. Now we've got some leftists planning on doing a Trump Tower rally protest there. They're going to protest the fascist Republican frontrunner. This is according to their Facebook page. They're saying Donald J. Trump has made headlines in recent months with his divisive rhetoric, hate speech, and extremist plans to make America great again. Such an extremist. And so, of course, they say that his policies threaten many of us in the Black, Latino, LGBT, Muslim, and other communities. Now, someone on their Facebook page, Deborah Capistran, responded on the Facebook page and said, Trump has never said one thing against the Black community. Instead, he talks about how lack of jobs and illegal immigration are hurting Black communities and Black youth the most, how he wants to bring prosperity to all Americans. But again, facts do not matter. But it's not only these leftist fascists that are going to be protesting outside the Trump Tower, probably with fascist tactics, including threatening speech, rock throwing, the usual. But it's also the communist Chinese government. They're calling Trump a racist clown and, of course, comparing him to Hitler. This is in an editorial in the Global Times newspaper. At first, they say, it was really funny when Trump first came out parading as a clown because he was going to divide the GOP. But now they're actually going on this full offensive, saying he's been called another Benito Mussolini or Adolf Hitler by some Western media. And they talk about how Mussolini and Hitler both came to power through elections, a heavy lesson for Western democracy. So now the state media is using Trump to declare that democracy is dangerous because they're saying, see how dangerous it is that a person like him could become elected if you have this democratic system. Well, the joke's on you because according to the establishment GOP, our votes don't even matter. We don't get to decide who's the president. Now, we reported about this on Monday. These are remarks made by Curly Hogland. He's of the Republican National Committee. He said the delegates are going to vote according to their own personal choice in all matters to come. And yesterday he doubled down on that, saying voters are irrelevant when it comes to selecting a candidate for the presidential nomination. He said the media has created this perception that the voters choose the nomination, and that's the conflict here. So, of course, they're setting the stage for a contested convention where someone like a Mitt Romney or even Jeb Bush can be rolled out as the GOP contender there. And Roger Stone joined the Alex Jones show today to talk about just how the establishment elite GOP, this whole group, is going to rob Donald Trump of the presidency, and we will not be able to stop them. So take a look.
Roger Stone, you first warned of this. I know you've been talking to Trump recently. He's concerned. Explain this to us and where this is going and how we fight back against it.
Sure. The fact that Donald Trump may have 1,237 votes, the majority on the first ballot, is almost irrelevant to the kingmakers, to the party elites. Look, they're petrified. And here's why. Trump is uncontrollable to them. He's not susceptible to special interest pressure. He doesn't owe anybody. There's no chits that can be called on him. He's his own man. And the only people he owes at this point are the very voters who have propelled him to a commanding position in this contest. So they will pull out all the stops. They will try to unbind all delegates on the first ballot, as the North Dakota Republican National Committee man Curly Howard has already publicly proclaimed. Secondarily, they will try to throw out the delegates of any states where non-Republicans were allowed to vote, even if it is consistent with state law. So if independents and Democrats were allowed to vote and they flooded the polls for Donald Trump, which, by the way, is a positive sign for the Republican Party, they will seek to throw those delegates out. Even in Texas today, even though Trump has won delegates, the Rick Perry, George P. Bush, Ted Cruz combine is refusing to fill those slots with actual Trump supporters. That way they would control those votes on any early procedural maneuvers. Remember, Trump is not without cards. He could knock out the entire Texas delegation on the basis of widespread voter fraud, which, by the way, is exactly how Eisenhower overturned the nomination of Robert Taft in 1952, by unseating the Texas delegates because the caucuses that had elected them were improperly conducted and Eisenhower voters were turned away.
Let's play this clip of one of the RNC Rules Committee heads. Just an incredible clip that's going viral everywhere. InfoWars.com, DrudgeReport.com, StoneZone.com. If you want to see the full clip, we're going to play about 60 seconds of it. Simply amazing. Where senior GOP official Curly Hogland, quote, "We choose the nominee, not the voters." And then she says, it's this Toto moment when the curtain's pulled back, so why even have primaries? And he goes, that's a good point. Why even vote? I mean, are we North Korea or are we the United States of America? Are we a republic or are we a oligarchy? I mean, the scales are coming off the eyes. Here's the clip, Roger.
I don't think that's the case once if it would just be understood. We have a problem with the media. Unfortunately, the cable networks are trying to determine
I don't think this is a problem with the media. I've heard from a lot of voters who say if they feel like their votes got stolen, that they would be very unhappy and very angry. I think you're looking at a different situation. I realize these have been the rules, but the last time these rules were put in place was 1976. It's been a long time since then.
Yeah, they're still there. Yeah, that's a problem. The media has created the perception that the voters will decide the nomination, and that's the concept. That's the conflict here.
We feel like we live in a democratic society. What you're telling me is it's not a democratic society, and your votes don't necessarily matter because it's a democratic representation, correct?
No, that's not what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to say is that we're just one of the political parties. There's many political parties, but political parties choose their nominee, not the general public, contrary to popular belief.
Then why bother holding the primaries?
That's a very good question.
Look, Gary, I wonder.
That's a very good question. So they've reached this magic moment where they're out in the open. They're trying to sell the idea that they can change rules and ignore the popular vote. The Democrats are doing it as well with Sanders. And the Republican leadership's obviously sided with the Democrats. They don't care if they blow the party up. That's all part of the plan. But will they be able to survive the public's anger? And will they be able to bully the superdelegates into going along with this, Mr. Stone?
Well, look, it's not over till it's over. There's a substantial number of veterans of the Reagan 76 campaign, veterans of the Ron Paul wars, veterans even of the Goldwater campaign who are going to be rallying. Do not assume that Donald Trump will be outmaneuvered at this convention, because we aren't going to let that happen. And Trump, as someone this close to the nomination, is not without cards or maneuvers. And he can outmaneuver the kingmakers.
But that's not all. We even have the Rothschild intel unit equating Donald Trump to jihadi terror. So this is the Economist Intelligence Unit, which is a company under the wing of The Economist, which is owned by the Rothschild banking family of England. They've declared Donald Trump a global risk, along with jihadi terrorism, the UK leaving the EU, the Russian intervention in Syria, and the Ukraine, and currency volatility. So he is a high impact risk. Kit Daniels has more.
Kit Daniels, InfoWars.com. The Bilderberg-linked Economic Intelligence Unit compared Donald Trump winning the presidency to ISIS destroying the world economy. The globalist think tank claimed Trump is one of the top 10 risks facing the world and is no different than, quote, the rising threat of jihadi terrorism destabilizing the global economy. The EIU also asserted that Trump has been exceptionally hostile towards free trade, including notably NAFTA, and has repeatedly labeled China as a currency manipulator. And the globalist think tank went on to say that Trump's militaristic tendencies towards the Middle East and ban on all Muslim travel to the U.S. would be a potent recruitment tool for jihadi groups, increasing their threat both within the region and beyond. But here's what The Economist is not telling you. Number one, NAFTA is not free trade at all, and has in fact destroyed the global economy for the past 20 years. Number two, both NATO and the Obama administration have been supporting ISIS for quite some time. And number three, wasn't it the Bush administration and the CIA who destabilized the Middle East to begin with? And that's not to mention that Hillary Clinton, who's going to be probably Trump's rival in the election, practically helped overthrow Gaddafi in 2011 while serving as Secretary of State, which practically gave Libya over to ISIS. In fact, a declassified email sent on April 2, 2011 to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton revealed the invasion of Libya was launched to prevent Gaddafi from establishing a pan-African currency based on Libya's gold dinar. At the time, the Libyan government held about 143 tons of gold and also a similar amount in silver, valued at over $7 billion. The gold and silver were to be used to establish an alternative currency to the French franc for African countries that would allow them to break away from French monetary domination. Furthermore, Gaddafi wanted to stop selling oil in US dollars and instead trade in gold dinars. This, of course, threatened the mega banks because the only thing propping up the devalued US dollar is the global demand for the dollar. So the EIU claims that Trump threatens global stability, but it was in fact Hillary Clinton who helped overthrow Gaddafi and let ISIS into Libya. But going back to NAFTA, since it was instituted in 1994, over 1 million Americans have lost their jobs due to their factories relocating to Canada or Mexico due to the trade agreement. Journalist Michael Snyder pointed out that since the auto industry bailout, approximately 70% of all GM vehicles have been built outside the U.S. In fact, many of them are now being built in Mexico. NAFTA hasn't worked out very well for Mexico either. Since 1994, the average yearly rate of economic growth in Mexico has been less than 1%. And the exporting of massive amounts of government-subsidized U.S. corn down to Mexico.
And you can watch the rest of that video titled Why the Globalists Fear Trump at the Alex Jones YouTube channel. Now, a huge victory for us that are fighting for food labeling. The Senate has rejected the DARK Act. Now, this was a bill from Senator Pat Roberts out of Kansas. It's been dubbed the Denying Americans the Right to Know Act, also known as the DARK Act. This bill would have prevented states from requiring labeling of genetically engineered foods and stopped any pending state laws that require labeling to go into effect. So a lot of senators saw that this was not a good thing, and they decided to go against it. It just narrowly did not pass, though, so make sure that you keep your eyes on these guys there in the Senate and, of course, the House, who advanced it the last time. And now for an update on the Flint water crisis. It looks like the EPA is going to get away with their criminal acts once again.
Michigan Governor Rick Snyder and EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy faced a divided congressional committee on the Flint water disaster today.
You did not declare a state of emergency until January 2016. Isn't that true?
I took immediate action. As soon as I learned there was a lead issue, we started issuing filters to people, doing water testing, doing blood testing.
Governor
and to be open
Snyder,
with you, I wish more would have been done.
Plausible deniability only works when it's plausible, and I'm not buying that you didn't know about any of this until October 2015. You were not in a medically induced coma for a year. And I've had about enough of your false contrition and your phony apologies. Susan Hedman from the EPA bears not 1/10 of the responsibility of the state of Michigan and your administration, and she resigned, and there you are, dripping with guilt, withdrawing your paycheck, hiring lawyers at the expense of the people, and doing your dead-level best to spread accountability to others and not being accountable. It's not appropriate. Pretty soon, we will have men who strike their wives saying, "I'm sorry, dear, but there were failures at all levels."
And who was fired or held accountable in EPA?
Well, sir, you have to look at
Was anyone fired?
No, sir.
In fact, what disturbs me, I checked to see, like Hedman, who was in charge, she was underneath you as a regional
administrator Hedman, yes.
She was getting vacation time bonuses, got the last one May 28th, while the regional administrator is getting vacation time bonuses while the kids are getting poisoned.
This is an internal email within the EPA talking about Susan Hedman. Perhaps Susan Hedman, already knows this, but I'm not so sure Flint is the community we want to go out on a limb for.
Michigan Governor Snyder blamed state, local, and federal offices for the poisoning of roughly 100,000 Michigan citizens after corrosion control was not aggressively implemented as high levels of lead were discovered in the Flint water supply.
Let me be blunt. This was a failure of government at all levels, local, state, and federal officials. We all failed the families of Flint.
Of course, Governor Snyder was as much to blame as the EPA. Yet Democratic Representative Elijah Cummings called for Snyder's resignation, but failed to bring to light any failure by Obama's EPA administrator, Gina McCarthy, much less a call for her resignation.
You cannot be trusted, and I got to tell you, you need to resign.
Yes.
As Governor Snyder was heavily targeted and the buck was passed, it was clear that the EPA's mishandling of the federal response to the criminal poisoning of Flint, Michigan's children, elderly, and hardworking adult Americans was given yet another opportunity to evade responsibility. Another brash display of tough talk on the Hill that will go nowhere and leaves the American people with a government spiraling out of control as it feeds on its own arrogance.
You had the opportunity, you had the presence, you had the authority, you had the backing of the federal government, and you did not act when you had the chance. And if you're going to do the courageous thing, you too should step down.
John Bound for InfoWars.com.
Thousands of years ago, there was a basic form of chivalry. Our ancestors would hear the drums of war, giving the warriors of the tribe a chance to organize and prepare a defense. 60 years ago, when foreign air forces were approaching filled with bombs, they had drums of their own, air raid sirens. But in the 21st century, there are silent weapons for quiet war, pathogens added to the food and water, and to the lining of plastics that destroy our vitality, turn off our hormones, and accelerate our journey towards death. I personally counter this onslaught with Anthroplex. Anthroplex is designed with known organic concentrated herbs to create the basic foundation to normal metabolic activity inside the human body. Discover why Anthroplex is turning so many heads today. It's time for us to take our bodies back into our own hands, and it starts at InfoWarsLife.com with Anthroplex. My fellow InfoWarriors, I am very excited to be able to announce to you the introduction at InfoWarsLife.com of a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWars Life formulations like Survival Shield X2 and Super Male Vitality. Just go to InfoWarsLife.com today, select your favorite product, click on Auto Ship before adding to cart, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. Every time you choose Auto Ship at InfoWarsLife.com, you get 10% off, and you won't have to worry about running out and having to reorder next time. And of course, you can cancel with one click anytime. As you know, I'm all about the idea of a 360 win, and the new auto ship feature at InfoWarsLife.com is a sure win for everybody. A win for liberty, a win for health, and a win when it comes to big savings. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today and save 10% on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting auto ship at checkout. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Your liver can be full of fatty deposits, built-up toxins, and even dangerous objects known as liver stones. We worked with the top developers in the field of detox to take tried and true herbs and other compounds known to safely cleanse the liver and fused it with the latest research and technological development on concentrating these ingredients to give you the maximum effect. Liver Shield is the only liver support product on the market that uses a patented Spigirex blend of powerful organic herbs that support detoxification. And when you visit InfoWarsLife.com, see the instructional video on how to do a 6-day liver detox. This isn't a game, and let me tell you, the results are dramatic. Liver Shield is totally organic and made of the safest high-quality herbs. Liver Shield is the only liver support product on the market that uses a patented Spigirex blend of powerful organic herbs that support detoxification. And when you visit InfoWarsLife.com, see the instructional video on how to do a 6-day liver detox. This isn't a game, and let me tell you, the results are dramatic. Liver Shield is totally organic and made of the safest high-quality herbs. But that said, you need to consult your physician before you do the full detox. Liver Shield can also be used daily by itself for overall upkeep of the liver. Secure your Liver Shield today exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com for the lowest price available. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
I hope to do things such as go to school, study, make art, start a business, even have my own home and family. But I am not considered a legal person.
Sophia is capable of natural facial expressions. She has cameras in her eyes and algorithms which allow her to see faces. I think that the artificial intelligence will evolve to the point where they will truly be our friends. Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
So that was Sophia. She's being dubbed as the hot robot of the future, who is not only going to be helping you raise your kids, but she'll also be your lovely personal assistant. And her creator says that she and her ilk will indeed be walking amongst us within the next few decades, and they'll be pretty indistinguishable from other human beings. So cannot wait. And obviously they're very willing to destroy humanity at the whims of their creator. And this is, of course, why it's so important that we make sure these developers do not give robots this function to kill humans or destroy humanity, because they're willing to do it with a little smile on their face. But of course, it's already too late to stop the robots from taking our jobs. One restaurant in China has already employed a robot. They've swapped out a human waiter for a robot counterpart. And this guy uses a battery, and he's capable of serving diners at a restaurant for up to 8 hours. He can take customers their food and their drinks, He uses sensors and navigation hardware, and he doesn't even spill anything. And better yet, he doesn't require any wages or even a tip. So, of course, that's really good for restaurant owners and people that are visiting these restaurants, but it's not good for people who are actually looking for a job. Now, one of these developers was talking to the Mirror Online, and he said, of course, there's going to be several generations of development yet before the physical world of humans is replaced by cyber alternatives. But it is right for us to be considering the ethical and economic repercussions of this inevitable technological scaling of computing. Indeed, it is. And no one that we are about to elect as the president of the United States of America is even talking about jobs, what they're going to be doing when this whole automation takes over. And all they're talking about is open borders and $15 minimum wage. And no one's really talking about what we're going to do when there's this automated takeover of jobs. People demanding that $15 minimum wage are going to be replaced with little robots like that guy. Now, of course, if you ask Pope Francis, though, you just keep on with the borders. Don't worry about the jobs. Don't worry what you're going to do. He once again doubles down on his globalist agenda and asks people to open their hearts and their doors to migrants who are standing at the border. And, no word yet on how many of these immigrants or migrants the Vatican is going to be taking in. As we've reported, they have massive walls surrounding the Vatican. And of course, they don't allow anyone. They have very strict immigration policy there. So no word on that. And in some more hypocrisy, Angelina Jolie and George Clooney and his wife are being slammed for housing 0 refugees in their 8 mansions. So, of course, they're always making the rounds and calling for people to open up their hearts, fix this migrant crisis, bring them in, open the borders. And Angelina Jolie was on special envoy for the UN's refugee agency this week, and she's calling on the international community to address the root causes of the global refugee crisis. And indeed, I agree with her on that. We do need to address the root causes of it so that we can stop it. But it seems like a lot of people are really sick and tired of being lectured by a hypocritical Hollywood who they have 8 mansions and they don't have any refugees housed there. They can't even use those homes. It's just a waste. So, why not open up? I mean, you could probably house hundreds of refugees. So the good news is, though, that the U.S. has finally decided to declare that ISIS is indeed committing genocide against Christians in the region. So it'll be interesting to see if the U.S. opens its borders to Christian refugees. Sha'Carri Jackson has more.
In some long belabored news, the U.S. government is finally admitting that ISIS is committing genocide. We have the article in which they talk about how Secretary of State John Kerry announced on Thursday that the U.S. government had determined that the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS, is committing genocide against Christians and other minorities in the territory. Now, this is not new news. We have been long documenting this, with Paul Joseph Watson leading the charge on this one, talking about how ISIS is burning journalists alive, chopping people's heads off, toppling Christian villages, knocking down the churches and all that stuff. And those are just a few examples. Now, you may be wondering why the U.S. government has been so hesitant as to call it what it is when you see other groups like the UN doing it. Well, what CBS is reporting is that the title of genocide carries a significant legal requirement for action from the U.S. government, and that's why the White House has been initially reluctant. Now, my belief as to why they've been reluctant, because they don't seem to shy away from any military conflict, especially the higher-ups. They love keeping that military-industrial complex well-fed, is this article right here, in which they document how ISIS apparently took control of a U.S. weapons airdrop intended for the Kurds. And they say that the Pentagon admits that 1 of 28 loads is missing and blames the wind. And they had U.S. Defense spokesman Army Lieutenant Colonel Steve Warren say that 1 bundle worth of equipment is not enough equipment to give the enemy any type of advantage at all. And it's basically went on to say that ISIS already has the weapons that were dropped to them that day. And while I do agree that they already had weapons, where did they get those original weapons from? Nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that ISIS is being armed by the U.S. military, or by elements of the U.S. government, I guess is more accurate to say. So you give them the weapons on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Friday you want to start a war with them. And that's why we see the people in our military with the hashtag I didn't join campaign from a couple years ago. They said, I did not join to give them weapons and then just fight them with the same weapons that we gave them. They understand this, our military men and women, but the higher ups are hoping that you do not pay attention to things like this, and they want you to instead to be focused on other issues. And as we're talking about the issue of genocide, they're targeting Christians, and it's not just Christians. They are a large target, but there are other groups being targeted as well, non-Muslims, people who don't want to succumb to the ISIS ideologies. And as we're talking about the persecution of those groups in these other countries, Syria and Iraq, they're letting very few Christian immigrants into the United States of America. You guys know that the immigration issue is a hot button issue, and they're saying we should do this, we shouldn't do that. But when you look at the numbers of people who are coming into this country from these war-torn areas, very few are Christians. Now, as I always say when I talk about the immigration policies, I do think people should come here through a legal and lawful means, but at the same time, I think our immigration policy can be reformed. I think it can become more streamlined, more transparent, to where if you do submit your application and you are declined, you at least know why you're declined and you find out why in a very speedy process. If there is some type of remedy, you can try to remedy it at that time. And also, so you don't have to spend thousands of dollars hoping you're going to come here just to be declined. So this is the news for the day, and hopefully they'll come out and admit that they're arming these guys and just stop the conflicts altogether. You can find more reports on InfoWars.com.
Hey kids, where you want to go on April 2nd? Whoa, Democracy Springs? Me too! Hey there, this is Joe Biggs with InfoWars.com, and I'm so excited for April 2nd because guess what's going on? Democracy Spring! It's going to be a large protest where a whole bunch of social justice warriors sit around and whine and cry and complain about democracy while raping your rights. Yeah, it'll be great. Get your friends, your family, everything. Get a bullhorn, get a whole bunch of stupid signs made that make no sense at all, and run around and bully people who want to disagree with you. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. Hey, Donald Trump, you're a racist. We don't know why, but it's because you're white. You can't be here. You're triggering me. Get out of my safe space. Democracy Spring. It's going to be so much fun. I'll probably explode. Stay tuned for more reports at InfoWars.com. I'm Joe Biggs.
And it's time for humanity to stand up in the info war and say, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but you want to fight, you better believe you got one.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Now is the time to secure Ancient Defense for you and your family. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. That's ancientdefense.com.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there's a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, InfoWars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere. And that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level. InfoWars Life and InfoWarsLife.com is extremely excited to announce our latest release, Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. It is produced by extracting oil from healthy, nutrient-dense plants known as lichens. Every batch is analyzed for purity and D3 content. It's completely free of toxins and allergens. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3139. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction. Easy assembly. Low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Rob Dew with InfoWars.com, and we are out at South by Southwest Interactive Festival, and today I was going out with Joe Biggs to do some Man on the Streets, and he showed me a post. This is Jade Lovell, by the way. She was running a speech today about PsyWars. So why don't you tell people about what PsyWars is all about and your show and why you do what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a scientist by training, and I got really frustrated when people couldn't understand science and would sometimes argue against what we know to be good science, particularly for things like climate change. No matter what you feel about climate change on an economic level, climate change, the science is in. So we're trying to break down some of this really complicated science behind stuff and explain a lot of the public policy decisions that we make are based on science. So making sure that people are well informed, same as what you do, making sure people are well informed.
Exactly. Let's start with climate change. So you picked the first topic.
Yeah.
Here we go. So the Greenland ice cores show that the temperature of the planet used to be a lot warmer and a lot colder long before SUVs existed, long before coal power plants existed.
Absolutely.
So you could say maybe humans are causing an insignificant amount of climate change, but the money it'll take to reverse whatever they're doing is going to cost way more than what it would do if we just work on processes to get out of that. What do you say to that?
Great. There's 2 points there. One is, are humans actually causing climate change? Are we causing the climate to change more than it would have? And overwhelmingly, the science is in that, yes, the climate is changing much faster than it ever has before, even when it was colder and even when it was hotter. So you're talking about how it was colder and it was hotter, and that's true, but those changes happened over tens of thousands of years before humans were where we are now at the top of the food chain. So yes, the climate did change in the past. It would have been catastrophic if humans had been alive. And the climate change we're seeing now is happening on a much faster scale, hundreds or thousands of times faster. So absolutely, humans are causing climate change. What should we do about it is a great question. The economic argument is an interesting one. Do we want to keep the climate the way it is? Or can we afford to let climate change happen and just keep our economic policies the way they are? My opinion is that the amount of money it's going to cost us when the coast of North America starts to flood is going to be a lot more money to fix that than to stop and fix something here. It's like a stitch in time saves 9. If we do invest now, some people will have to pay an economic burden, but how much it's going to save us is like tens or hundreds of times more. That's my opinion, but it's the future, so who knows?
Who knows?
Or if half of Greenland and half of West Antarctica broke up and melted, this is what would happen to the sea level in Florida. This is what would happen to San Francisco Bay. A lot of people live in these areas. But this is what would happen to Manhattan. They can measure this precisely, just as the scientists could predict precisely how much water would breach the levees in New Orleans.
Well, Al Gore seems to know. He doesn't seem to think that it's going to flood because he actually bought a house on the coast of California. So he's not too concerned about rising sea levels.
Yeah.
But I would like to ask you this question. What do trees breathe?
Trees breathe carbon dioxide.
What do we put out?
We put out carbon dioxide.
So more humans on the planet would be breathing out more carbon dioxide, which would make trees breathe more carbon dioxide. They would take that carbon dioxide in and then turn it into oxygen. You don't agree with that?
Trees do breathe carbon dioxide, but why does more carbon dioxide mean that trees breathe faster? If there's more oxygen, I don't breathe faster.
They've actually proven that when trees breathe more, or when trees take in more carbon dioxide, they grow faster, which would then make them take in more carbon dioxide.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything to suggest that. I would be really interested to know where you got your study from. And no science anywhere is suggesting that trees are going to be able to keep up with the rate of carbon dioxide that we're releasing into the world.
Yeah, it came out, I think, last week or the week before in The Guardian, I believe, and it was NOAA is fudging some of the numbers where with these temperature increases. They were fudging the numbers. This isn't really happening. It's not rising as fast as they say it is. So how do we know people are telling us the truth?
That's great. A good point. People on both sides of the debate will say, like, you're fudging the numbers. So people who are pro-climate change will tell the people that are anti-climate change they're fudging the numbers, and the reverse happens. So on both sides, I think whatever side of the climate change debate you're on, it doesn't matter if you come at it from a point of they're lying, we're never going to get to the truth. I don't really care if climate change is happening or not. I just want to know the truth. And so if we want to know the truth, like your viewers, it's better to look at what the overwhelming majority of evidence says rather than cherry picking case by case basis. And that happens on both sides of the debate.
All right. Well, to me, it looks like the people who are pushing for climate change, man-made climate change, are also prescribing a carbon tax, a global tax system, where they can come in and control and charge companies, charge countries even, and even circumvent countries' laws and say, hey, we're going to charge you this to fix the problem. Is that going to fix the problem? And how much money will it take in the end?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think we have to be really careful on things like a carbon tax. I'm from Australia, and we had a carbon tax. We're one of the first countries to have one, but it was so unpopular because it was so badly designed that it was overturned, and now we don't have a carbon tax.
Do you think it was designed that way on purpose?
To be overturned?
No, to be bad and not really work.
I think it was designed by a government that was very progressive and liberal-minded, and they went a little bit too far on the side of increasing taxes and making choices for people. I'm a libertarian, so I believe that most of the time people are pretty smart about their decisions. The role of government should never be overstepped.
Okay. You also talk about vaccines, right?
I do.
All right. One of my favorite subjects. So being a libertarian, you would think people have the wherewithal to decide what they want to put in their bodies.
Yeah, we have to make it. Some things I think are so dangerous that there's no reason for them. So for example, the smallpox vaccine. I don't think that there is anyone ever that would suggest that not having smallpox in our lives is going to be a bad thing. That was clearly a good vaccine to have. But for things like influenza, did you have the flu shot?
Never.
I've never had the flu shot either. So we made a choice based on how busy we are, how much money we have, and if we can be bothered, and the risk that we have on what's right for us. So there's milder diseases where I think we should have a choice, and then there's really serious diseases like polio where I think we should all be vaccinated.
Do you know there's people in India, whole villages that have been injected with the polio vaccine and then become crippled with polio-like symptoms, although they're not calling it polio. Are you aware of that?
I haven't heard of that particular case study, but there is always a risk with any medical treatment. But if you had cancer, you'd probably want a doctor to go and help you and fix it. I believe that the risk of negative effect from most vaccines is so low that it's better to have the vaccine. But in many cases, the risks are kind of not 50-50, but somewhere where we should be able to make choices for ourselves.
Well, what I don't like is that in California, they want to mandate that any kid want to go to school, take a vaccine. But then you have these companies that have unlimited immunity. They can't be sued. If you have a problem with a vaccine damaged child, you have to go to a special court. The vaccine companies don't even have to participate in that court. They just kind of sit back and let a 3-judge tribunal decide the fate over a kid.
Yeah.
Now, if these things are so safe and effective, like they say, why do we have this? And do they have something like that in your country where the vaccine companies are immune to prosecution or being sued?
I don't know about if they're immune, but I know that in Australia, where I'm from, same as what's happening in California, it's a no jab, no play. Like if your kids aren't vaccinated, they can't go to a public school. But think about this. If you're a libertarian, then why are you arguing that you should have access to public services? Aren't you someone that believes in freedom of choice? And if you want to choose not to vaccinate your children, shouldn't you then also choose to go to an independent school?
Well, that would be great, but they take your property taxes and make you pay for public schools.
This is true. You're right.
All right.
So I think sometimes, why should they be sued? If they're negligent, I totally believe they should be sued. I don't think there's any time when we should be protecting organizations from accountability. So I don't agree that we should have organizations that are above the law.
So there you have it, folks. A young Turk is agreeing with an InfoWarrior.
We can be friends.
GMOs. I bet you've been talking a lot about GMOs. There was actually, it just came out today, they're finding traces of pesticide in like some of the major German beers, and it's glyphosate. Now you've got the EU saying glyphosate is bad, the WHO saying glyphosate is bad. Here, it seems to be glyphosate is good, more glyphosate the better. Everywhere, they spray it on the lawns, they put it on the food, they want you to eat it. What is wrong with glyphosate?
So glyphosate is actually one of the less toxic pesticides that we use. There are a lot of really, really bad toxins. Glyphosate, and I've got a whole video about this topic exactly. Glyphosate is one of the less toxic ones, but it's still something that we shouldn't be drinking gallons of. It's an interesting case that United States has a much more libertarian view on toxins. So, yeah.
I'm very sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
We're actually not allowed to.
No,
okay.
No, I totally understand. Yeah, that's fine. We can finish up downstairs. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Here, I'll just do a tag out here and we'll finish it up. You still rolling? All right, we've been asked to leave, so we're going to go downstairs and finish up this interview. What?
Sorry, we can't actually have the fan in the back.
So we've been asked to leave. The really nice people from South by Southwest are like, we know this is film and interactive, but don't film here. Don't film where there's film. It's a film festival, so we don't want any filming going on.
Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're gonna crash, you're gonna feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Introducing Secret 12, the new InfoWars Life vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections, which are known to have higher absorption rates. Now, InfoWarsLife.com is excited to announce that we can bring you our most bioactive, powerful form of B12 that has been developed with our exclusive perfected process. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Get your kid vaccinated so he can get educated and go to school, and don't make the kid sick, and hurry up and get that vaccination real quick.
Michelle Obama was the keynote speaker here today talking about musicians using their music to push key issues for the government. Guaranteed radio play. Would you do it?
You know, there are a lot of social issues that I'm definitely would want to build on. I think it's a good idea.
Well, we've actually written a lot of music about key issues.
Listen, we make great music. You know, that's all we do. We don't go out, we don't have any political agendas.
I mean, you look at pop music, and to me, pop music is nothing but that's all it is radio play. I mean, that's literally what people are doing to get famous, and I think that's making music for the wrong idea.
Now, obviously, with the Obama administration, they're going to want to talk about climate change or gun control. Would you be down to put a little bit of that in your music?
Yeah, I think it would have to be, you know, heavily metaphorical because climate control isn't really a popular song topic, you know?
A key issue to push Obama's agenda?
Climate change, gun control.
I would pick immigration.
I think it's definitely a good idea, you know, promote something positive, talk about social issues.
Like, could you convince parents to get their children vaccinated?
Through a song?
Yes.
Is that a question? Can you do that through music?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
Of course.
Could you do it?
What the issue is, you know?
Climate change, amnesty, gun control.
Legalization of marijuana.
I would never write personally, I would never write a song just to get radio play. That's not what I'm in music for. I'm in music to make music, not to get famous, to be honest.
This is the day and age when climate change is the pressing issue on the TV screen, and Bernie Sanders can help the issue if you vote for him.
Sing the lyrics?
Stanza, something, give it.
The state of Indiana just doesn't like the gays. Rather than to serve them, they'd like to turn them away. They call it religious freedom, we call it hate. So we came up with a solution to fix their state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Send Mary and Toilet to Indiana. We're gonna take the stage and teach a lesson to the governor. We'll show them all our sexy balls and fuck their sons and daughters. Send us to save the state of Indiana. We should be legal all over the world, yeah.
All right, it's gonna sound a lot like a 90s like sitcom theme show, but here we go. All right. Bernie Sanders, he looks like my father. Bernie Sanders, I kinda wish he was. Bernie Sanders, I think he can fix problems. Bernie Sanders, here's another one.
Give us a little ditty right now about changing the world. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. What is a ditty? What do you mean?
Like a little whoop-de-whoop?
You want me to dance?
Whoop-de-whoop, you should change the world, or you gon' end up in some shit, you know what I'm saying?
Get your kid vaccinated so he can get educated and go to school and don't make the kid sick, and hurry up and get that vaccination real quick.
Now, let's say someone like Donald Trump got elected and was trying to say, hey guys, if you want to get radio airplay, I need you to promote these issues in your song.
If Donald Trump asked for that, I'd say we have a lot of great music to write about once we live in Canada. Probably Sweden, maybe Denmark.
Yeah.
We're big Bernie supporters.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump becomes president, I'm going to promote everything against everything that he says. It's going to be the exact opposite of whatever he says. That's what I'm going to promote, because everything he says is complete nonsense.
But then you're not going to get on the radio. You'll be underground.
No, well, that's okay. You know, you got to have morals. You got to stay true to yourself regardless, no matter what. You know what I mean? So if you're going to promote something, make sure that you believe in it. That's all.
So you will not sell your soul to get on the radio?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Let's say Donald Trump became the president and he wants you to come up with a song about building a wall.
I would not write that song.
Because you just want to make Metallica great again.
Hey, it's Darren McBreen, InfoWars.com. We're here at South by Southwest, Austin, Texas. And we're going to get everybody's reaction to what a lot of people consider the two scariest people in politics, Donald Trump and, Hillary Clinton. Let's go check it out. All right, so first up, the Donald. What's your first reaction? Here it comes.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
So dick.
Here it goes. Oh. And here we go. She threw up a little bit. Here we go.
Not that guy.
What's wrong with him? Why don't you like Donald Trump?
Because he's racist.
No, he's an absolute racist.
He's a racist. I'm Mexican, you know. I don't like that.
Come on, man. The guy's flat out, he's a racist.
Not racist at all. Vote for Trump.
Do you think he really is racist? Do you think that's something the media kind of is trying to push on you?
I just think that the things that he says are spun out of control. I mean, like, I think he has good intentions behind him, but it comes out absolutely wrong.
I think the appeal is that he's not covered by somebody's money from a specific party, so he speaks what he says. Most definitely, he speaks what he feels. So I think that's the thing that people might be attracted to.
If y'all vote Donald Trump in as president, y'all are the craziest motherfucking people ever to be created in the whole fucking world.
Donald Trump, he tries to separate us. We got to come together.
He's not even a politician and he wants to run. He just wants to make a name for himself and make more money.
He went to school for fucking real estate. He's not a politician.
I just think that businessmen should stick with business. I think running an entire nation is a whole different story.
Don't you think that's part of the reason why people like Donald Trump so much is because he's not a politician, he's an anti-establishment candidate, so to speak?
Look, that's why we have law schools. That's why we have majors called government affairs and government studies. It's for people who want to get in government.
Hey, what about the people like Black Lives Matter and MoveOn.org that show up to Chicago and try to shut his rallies down? Do you agree with that?
Well, that's what protests are for. When you come to protest, it's supposed to be interrupting something. It's not.
Yeah, but it's not.
I don't agree with the violence.
To say he can't do it would be fucked up because that's the whole point of the country.
That's the whole point of the First Amendment. So that's what a lot of people are saying. Look, you're trying to shut down their First Amendment, so a lot of people are upset with that.
Well, I mean, people have the right to speak, but you can show up and protest that if you want to.
You think he's dividing the country right now, or what's wrong with Trump?
No, he's not dividing the country. We're a strong nation. We can't be divided despite our differences.
Awesome. I agree with that. What do you think about the appeal of Donald Trump, that he's an anti-establishment candidate? He's not getting money from Goldman Sachs. He's not funded by the Federal Reserve. Do you think he truly is an anti-establishment candidate?
Well, it depends where you think the establishment is. If you think the establishment is just money, then no. If you think the establishment is this idea of people who enrich themselves by screwing over the American taxpayer and subsidizing the kind of firms like Walmart, of which Hillary sat on the board of, the fact is Trump is not part of that establishment.
What about Hillary Clinton?
I don't think she's Hitlerish. I respect her intellect.
What do you like about Hillary?
She's not going to build a wall blocking all the Mexicans.
I think I'm ready for a woman.
Okay. But to me, voting for Hillary because she's a woman is like eating a turd because it looks like a Tootsie Roll.
Very true. I agree.
Time that we're united instead of divided. You agree with that?
Of course, I 100% agree with that.
We need everybody, coming together. This land belongs to all of us.
No more Bushes, no more Clintons, right?
Right. We don't want these families. We don't want these families anymore. We need somebody new.
What do we say to the race war? F the race war.
Cool.
All right. We're brothers.
Always.
All right, man. Yep. Let's do it. For a heart of gold.
Because I'm a part of it right now, and I'm seeing the changes. When you do come together, we're all races. That's your answer.
All right. Beautiful, beautiful, man.
Check it out, man.
All right.
People looking out.
All right.
And I'm getting old.
All right.
Well, that's it for the show tonight. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. And you can also become a subscriber to prisonplanet.tv. Your subscription there will get you instant access to over 18 years worth of high-def content. You'll get the Alex Jones Show, the Nightly News, all of our special reports, as well as some ebooks that are great for downloading if you want to read on the run. And you can share your username and password with your friends. You can stream it instantly over the internet right to your computer and, of course, any of your mobile devices. So that is an excellent deal. And, of course, you are helping this operation. Now, you guys stay safe out there while you're celebrating my people. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central.
Knockout is back. If you want a product that has 10 known ingredients that naturally get your body to relax, your brain to relax, so you get deep, restful sleep, Knockout's it. InfoWarsLife.com. L-theanine, hops flower extract, lemon balm extract, valerian root extract, chamomile flower extract, L-tryptophan extract, melatonin, and more. All organic, all the natural sources. It's the same price as leading brands of melatonin that are 3 milligrams a piece. It has 3 milligrams, the standard recommended dose for an adult, and it just synergistically puts everything in there. InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.